What up, what up? Welcome to the Mundeezy podcast. My name's Emmanuel Munda. I'm a digital media producer with 15 years experience in the broadcast industry, 14 years teaching at the Los Angeles County High School for the Arts, and 6 years working for the nonprofit Scleroderma Foundation Southern California chapter, just so you know a little bit about me. I also have a BA degree in film, TV, and radio, as well as a minor in theater. I'm a creative consultant for businesses, artists, and nonprofits. I'm a published songwriter, director, music producer, stuntman, everything. But what I'm here for is I like people. I like picking brains. It's a whole thing in which I don't I don't like putting down people. I like seeing how they got to where they are. I like to be able to dissect what your process is. And so what I wanted to do with this podcast, besides because I was bored and we're in the quarantine, is to be able to talk to people and see how they got to where they are, what they're doing now. So many questions that I have for just anybody. So today we are celebrating teachers. And we got a couple of great teachers here. I'll put them up here so you can see them. I got Jerry Freedman from the Los Angeles County High School for the Arts, award winning, and he does have a Nobel Prize. And we'll talk about that as well too. And we also have Julie K. Stallcup, owner of Revolution Dance Studio, a great teacher. And these two are some of the most influential people within a 10-mile radius of where I live, and and I'm so glad that they're here so I can talk to them. And this is going to be great. And I think a lot of them have a lot to say, and that's the reason why I got them here. Because why do a talk show with people that don't want to talk? So first up, I'm going to bring in Mr. Jerry Freedman. Jerry Freedman's like I said, is an award-winning teacher at the Los Angeles County High School for the Arts. He's been there since the beginning of the school 35 years ago. They just can't get rid of him. They tried several times. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome. Hold on, I got to do this right. And, make sure that his name pops up when they hit a button. Mr. Jerry Freedman. Jerry.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing good. And
Good.
you?
Under the circumstances, I'm doing very well.
I'm glad. Under the circumstances, what circumstances could that be, Jerry?
The whole world is confined to their room or their house or their apartment or whatever. But I'm doing fine. I mean, I'm Zooming my classes and I'm seeing my students up on the screen and checking in with them and seeing how they're doing, and grateful that I'm still teaching 60 years on, and so I'm ready to go.
60 years of teaching?
2 weeks after John Kennedy's inaugural address, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. At 20 years of age, I started teaching. So my earliest students are about 77 now, 76.
Holy crap. Wow.
Crazy, yeah.
That's totally amazing. Now, full disclosure, I was never one of your students.
Unfortunately for me.
Unfortunately, I know. Well, no, fortunately for you. I wasn't that great of a student anyways. But, I mean, you were definitely one of my favorite colleagues for sure. I mean, our discussions about everything in life was just it's mind-blowing. Yeah, that is the best part of the teaching. And you were also a castmate, right? Our first show was it West Side Story?
West Side Story, yeah, I think so.
Was that your first acting job, or was that?
I was in like 5 or 6 musicals at Loxa for reasons that have nothing to do with talent. And my best role was in West Side Story. I was Doc in West Side Story. I was in Carousel and Evita and I don't know, a few more, which I'll think about as we go along, but it was great.
I actually just found out today why you were called Doc. Because anybody who worked at a pharmacy or a drugstore, which were like not the liquor store, but which were, where you got your soda pops and all that stuff, they were not because they were docs, but because they were the people who couldn't afford doctors were to go to get their medicine, so they were all called
But
docs.
in Carousel, I was another character named Doc, and I was a doctor. I was the one
But you
making
were
the speech
actual doctor.
at the end, the graduation speech. I say, I brought
Ah,
all of you into the world and whatever. Anyway,
anyways, but you've been doing. But you've been doing other things. I heard you did some stuff for De Niro as well too.
no, it was for Al Pacino.
Pacino, yes.
Very strange. My wife used to work for Jewish Vocational Services, where they help. It's not just for Jews, for everybody. They help people. In her case, it was help people who got injured on the job find work where the skills they had can be transferred to something else where the physical stuff won't affect them. They can get a job, and they get a phone call from a casting agency that Al Pacino is looking for someone to play a Jewish elder in Salome, which he was on Broadway, and he was making a film about it. He was making a documentary about how he directed it. Calls me up and says, "Well, why don't you try out for that?" I said, "Wait a second. I'm not an actor. I can't act, and I don't look Middle Eastern." She says, "What do you have to lose?" So I go down there, and there's always people from Greece. I mean, Americans with Greek background and Turkish background. Anyway, I come in there. They asked me to say, Salome is a young girl. She's dancing, and she's a very lascivious dancer. And you're a Jewish elder, and you have to reprimand her, but she's from a powerful family. So how are you going to reprimand? And I'm thinking to myself, I've been reprimanding girls, teenage girls, for years. You know? So what do I have to lose? I'm not going to get the gig anyway. So they film it, hold the camera up, and then they say thank me, and they're going to say they're going to send all the films to Pacino, and Mr. Pacino will choose who's going to play the role. And 2 weeks later, I get a phone call. Mr. Pacino would like you in the video, in the filming. So we went out to the desert and filmed it, and then I got cut out of every scene except my name at the end of the credit, Jerry Freedman.
Hey, you know that's all it takes, right? Credit and pizza.
Yeah.
Exactly. Oh, so how long have you been? You've been teaching at Luxor for 35 years. Are you the only OG original
Yes. Well, actually,
person?
no. I mean, to be honest with you, technically speaking, now in the year it started, they didn't have any seniors. They only took we didn't have freshmen those days. They only took sophomores and juniors.
Hmm.
And at the end of that year is when I got hired. I wasn't in the very first year. I was in the first year of any graduating class, which was the second year of the school. And I just read an article in the paper that there was a new arts high school opened up in the campus of Cal State LA, and I applied for the job. But I'm the only one who's there from those days. No one graduated before I got there, and I've been through every graduating class and everyone since the school started.
You're an institution.
I am. And I'm so jealous of these young teachers who are coming to Loxa. I was like 45 when I got there. I taught 25 years before Loxa existed. And now these people are coming in their 20s, and they can be there for 40, 50, 60 years. I don't know. I'm jealous. I wish I was 21 starting over. 20, I was 20 starting over again.
Well, Jerry, to live as long as you, I think people just want that. How old are you again, Jerry?
Well, in July, I'll be 80. Ooh.
He'll be 80 and he's still teaching. I mean, that's one of the most amazing things. My dad
Well,
retired at 65. I retired
As
at
I
40.
said, I've said there's a video out there. You can go on YouTube, Heim/Freedman/Loxa, where I say on this video, when the Heim sisters came to the school and surprised me and everything, I have friends of mine who retired 25 years ago. I could retire 25 years ago. How many kids would I have missed in 25 years? You think that's worth it? No, I want to be there for the kids. I want to be there for me. I'm the greatest beneficiary of it all.
That's
I'm
awesome.
selfish. I'm doing it for me.
Well, I mean, I'm one of the beneficiaries, but not as not a student, of course. But I mean, definitely those kids. I mean, teaching at Loxa, I taught Loxa music production and technology. It kept me young. I mean, really kept me young. It's all the youth and the energy and the creativity that just comes out of it.
I'm dancing with the kids. I mean, it's like I walk into school like an 80-year-old, and then I'm a teenager while I'm in class.
Wait, do that again?
I'm a teenager while I'm in class. And then when I leave, yeah, it's like a current that runs into me when I'm with these kids. They're amazing.
It is. I mean, for all the drama, I mean, you're still there. You've outlasted so many people, whether they're students, teachers that turned into students. It's just amazing that you have become the institution for
Well,
Loxa.
thank you. I mean, I'm so honored to be there. And I mean, it's funny. I tell the kids this all the time. When I'm talking to a student, there's really two of me there. there's another one of me that's off to the side looking at the conversation, saying to himself, how lucky are you? You know, this kid lives in another part of the county. You would never see them in your whole life. You never
Right.
walk by them on the street or shopping. And you're involved in their life. They're asking you a question. They're discussing something with you right now. How lucky is that to be blessed to be with these kids right now?
I
So,
think that one of the biggest rewards, I mean, is just watching your students grow into
oh,
celebrities and mature adults and having
yeah.
families and just being successful in
Well,
life, and you know you had
so
something to do.
you see these kids, but they're right, their families, the baby pictures, and then the kids are now into. I was teaching in we have on Fridays, we have groups that come to the school of parents and prospective students to scout out the school and see if they want to apply here and whatever. And I get my former students coming in with their children. And I've taught some of my former students' children at Loxa.
Wow. And now you're going to see your students' grandkids. I wouldn't be surprised if you live to 100 and you're still at Loxa.
I hope so. Look, I'm friends with some of my students from back in New York and Flushing High School where I taught. And they're in their 70s, and I'm friendly with them still today. I see them when I go to New York.
Wow. And Josh always talks about you all the time, and
Josh is amazing. I've been saying this for, I don't know, 25 years, 20 years. You know what a great singer Josh is? He's a better person. And I mean that sincerely. His family is unbelievable. His character is, I tell the students, art, talent, great. Academics, great. The most important thing is character.
his family is awesome. I was at his house a few weeks ago, and it's just like, like time hasn't passed since we used to hang out, going to Disneyland and everything. It just feels like,
He's
oh,
never
he's just
become
down
Josh
there.
Groban. He's the same person he always was.
Exactly. I was thinking of him as the geeky guy with the dry humor. Still is, if you know him more. Anyhow, wow. Jerry, it's just I just wanted to make sure that I started off right, and you're definitely kicking this off right, and you're just a wonderful person to talk to. How come we never had lunch? That's the problem.
Not because I wouldn't want to, but you have to ask me or let me know that
Oh,
you're
that's
around.
true.
Let's do lunch because I'm gonna give you the video of the West Side Story, and we can talk about that story that happened that no one knows about it.
What story is that, Jerry?
Well,
You can say it now.
Okay, I found out the hard way that there's some kind of a tradition in the theater that in the last performance of a show, the actors do little things that nobody else knows about except the actors. So they play tricks on each other. Anyway, Michael Longoria, who is now a big star, I went to see him on Broadway in with the Four Seasons in Jersey Boys.
Yes.
And then we go off out of the theater with the people waiting for his autograph. And I remember him back, and he and I are doing a scene from West Side Story. Anyway, he comes into Doc's candy store, and I'm cleaning the tabletop, and he jumps on one of those round chairs, and he's got a comic book. We've done this rehearsal for months and months, and we did it for 3 or 4 shows, and it's the last show. He opens up the comic book. He said, "Hey, Doc, look at this comic." And what we didn't know is that some of the students playing this trick on the last performance had pasted in a pornographic photograph on the page. And he goes, "Hey, Doc, look at this." And we have to remember our lives. There's a full house of people sitting there. I'm barely over it now, 25 years later.
I'm surprised that's the one that you remembered, because we had it in every single drawer, every single cabinet in that set. And we were waiting for you to catch it. And they were playing with cards on the table that, yeah, well, we were lots of kids.
Did it. We were one of the people.
Well, I was just a witness.
But I don't. But what I've learned about that, and it's held me in good stead all the years after, is that when students are doing shows or art drawings, whatever, they're working so hard after school. I go home, I take a nap. The kids are still in school. They're rehearsing the so-called Hell Week, 10 o'clock at night, 11 o'clock at night, first going home, coming back early in the morning, and I'm supposed to give them a test.
Yeah.
On the War of 1812 or something like that. So, no, you put that off, and kids would come in with pillows.
Yeah, well, you think about it. A lot of us took an hour to drive to get there.
Yeah, it's a county-wide school.
So I was up at 6 o'clock here, this is regular Loxa student schedule and still is now, right? Actually, no. People go home early now because of laws, child labor laws that happens. But we would leave the house at 6:15, right? We'd carpool, get to school by 8 o'clock, and then take our morning academic classes, and then 12:35 lunch. And we could usually just afford 50 cent orange chicken and a 50 cent piece rice from Panda Express.
You must
Uh,
be old, 50 cents, huh?
it's all about making the dollar. That's all we had for lunch. And then 1:20 to 4 o'clock would be our arts classes, and then from 4:30 to I think 10 o'clock was the latest that we could go back then. Was all
Great.
rehearsal, and we had a show every other week. So it's not like we're rehearsing for months on end for one show. We're rehearsing several shows at the same time, and you have to be level headed. So we're trying to do our homeworks during rehearsal, which is hard. And then when we get home at about 11 o'clock, we have to finish our homework, stay up till 2 o'clock, wake up at 5 in the morning to get out of the house by 6:15, and do it all over again, all for the love of the art. And I mean, the work ethic that was definitely instilled in a lot of Loxa students, it's still something that they abide by growing up. You get the results, you get the hard work, you get the creativity, and a lot of the learning, and a lot of the academics that you all instilled, especially you as a teacher, and being able to integrate the arts within the academia was what makes it great for us, because a lot of us have really bad ADD back then, where we needed that attention and focus.
Well, one of the things that you mentioned, a really good point there about integrating the arts, because if you can do that, you grab them immediately. These kids go through so much to get into the school, and to have that interest and desire and talent. I for many years I taught an elective course called Music and History, where we related the music to the time period of the history, jazz and whatever, or Renaissance music, or music of the Great Depression or Second World War, whatever it would be. And the kids are. The other thing is that I don't know. I always thought there was something about these kids. Their motivation was so strong that you could take it. You'd be crazy not to take advantage of that in our school, and to see how these kids would. I've had kids who sit in my class quiet as can be, and then they get on the stage and they command the stage and they're comfortable as can be, and they can talk. And in class they're hesitant to raise their hand and ask a question about something, and then you get them a chance. They can dance across the stage, or they could do whatever, play a solo piece with the orchestra behind them or whatever, and they're comfortable. It's an art. It's the arts.
And definitely, I mean, not to not to be biased, but it was a great school. It's still an awesome school. We had awesome teachers like Jerry that inspired us, not just within the arts, but also academically. And we have what 95% graduation rate and college rate as well too.
That's right.
Number one art school in the country several times.
Yep, that's
So
right.
it's definitely it, it's definitely prestigious. I mean, I when I say I come from Loxa and it's a small family, everybody knows how much work is involved to get out of Loxa as well
Let me
too.
just say one thing about this Loxa you mentioned. In the early years of the school, they wanted us to go by the name of Arts High, because who would know what Loxa meant? And the Loxa kids hated that. They said, "We're Loxa." And you would call the school and they say, "Arts High." Now, you call the school now, they say Loxa, and you tell somebody you go to this arts high school, the campus of Cal State LA, they say, "Oh, you mean Loxa?"
They know what
Because
Loxa is.
the talent is so high, the quality of the kids is so high that when they go out into the world, and the world takes notice of where they came from, and Loxa has gotten a reputation without publicity,
Hmm.
and without trying to pretend that was something else, because of the kids, the strongest
Exactly.
part of school.
And a lot of them, in public, when they're all said, when it's all said and done, they refer to Loxa. That's
Yeah,
what they remember. Everyone from Groban, Heim, Justin Klunk to every single
Corbin
person.
Blue.
Corbin Blue. Oh, definitely. He didn't
Yeah,
even graduate from Loxa, and he still shows up to all of our events.
That's right.
He's,
He was accepted into my AP class, and then this thing called High School Musical happened, and he left to do that. But I still claim him as my student.
right, exactly. I would too. I remember doing some tech work for theater, putting microphone in this big afro, and that was like it took us half an hour to string that microphone through his hair because he
He's
wanted
great.
it as big as possible, and
Such
he's
a
doing.
guy. So much talent in so many ways.
Exactly, and and the cool thing about Loxa, we end up as a family as a community. So uh, we talk a little more, but I think we have somebody
I think so.
waiting really patiently to be asked questions. So we're gonna get back to you, Jerry. Don't worry, don't go away.
I'm
Stick
not going
around and watch. We're gonna bring in this lady who is extremely inspirational to a lot of people, and I gotta make sure I do this right because I gotta make sure her name pops up on the screen and she's all good with audio. She's getting ready. I think she raised our viewership from 3 to about 40. So that's great. We gotta love her for that. Ladies and gentlemen, the one, the only from Revolution Dance Studios, Miss Julie K. Stallcup. Hey, Julie.
Yes!
This is how she is at 9 in the morning too. I don't know
At
how.
7.
At 7. That's right. You wanted to have a meeting at 7 in the morning.
I know.
I'm not even awake at 7 in the morning.
Honey, I fly out of that bed.
Oh my gosh. And you don't drink coffee. That's the weirdest thing.
Only Diet Coke.
Only Thai Coke. That's enough caffeine, I guess. How are you? How are you doing?
Well, considering the situation, I am trying to be as positive and hopeful and, just trying to stay alive, really. People ask me how I'm doing. I'm like, I'm alive. That's a lot. That's good enough right now, right?
Right, exactly.
I'm a
And
positive person.
and then I wanted you to be part of this show because as a teacher, you have inspired so many people. I mean, and it's the whole Loxa link as well too, where a lot of your students end up going to Loxa because they're well trained dancers. Right? Tell us a little bit about the about your school.
Well, I was listening to Jerry. I have been teaching 28 years. And I started in Little Rock, Arkansas. And my very first class, I was 12 years old, and my teacher gave it to me, a classroom full of boys, and we did Newsies. So I started really young and in Little Rock, Arkansas, and wanted to move out, move away. And my dad had just passed away, and I'd met the man of my dreams in Branson, Missouri, and he was doing a magic show. I was doing a magic show. Then he moved to Vegas. I moved to Vegas with him. He still did magic. I was a showgirl. Then we moved to LA because he had done stunts. And we rolled upon an amazing dance studio called RDC that my business partner, Melissa Gerard, and Daryl and I own together. And
That's
it's wonderful.
and you guys have like 1,300 students.
Well, now that this has happened,
Well,
well, we're happy. We're actually really grateful. We talk about this all the time of the people that have stuck with us. This is such a hard time financially for people, especially out here in Los Angeles. People. We're in the industry, so it's like makeup artists, actors. It all depends. So many people are actually right now losing their jobs. So we're very grateful. We've lost around 277 kids. Give or take, and it's a hard hitting thing for us. But we're very grateful for the families who have been able to stick with us through this. And I'm really proud to say that all of our teachers have not lost any of their jobs. We've paid them every bit of their paycheck, through this whole time. So I'm very proud to say that we've done that to keep their jobs. But the dance studio is a community-based studio. We're a very service project-based studio where, I love dance and I think it heals your heart, but giving back and showing these kids how to really move forward in their life and be grateful for everything they have is number one.
that's awesome. How have you adjusted from studio life to teaching
Man,
now?
to be honest, I'm probably working harder than I ever have in my whole life, as well as our faculty. We are exhausted, not knowing any answers. I think that that's the hardest thing. I'm a control freak, completely realize this even more now, but that I can't control. I don't know when we're going to go back. And, I'm trying to keep people's hopes up and energy up. It's hard. It's really, really hard. I'm not gonna lie. But honestly, I mean, we can make it through this. We've just gotta really help each other.
Yeah, and I've seen you put like 150% in everything that you do, and now it's at 200%. And the fact that you've inspired even my daughter to lock herself up in the room and take your class, and I hear all the bumping and sliding and
Making it happen.
exactly. So it's not just you, right? It's all your other teachers do exactly the same thing. And when as much as I love my Loxa fam, I love my RDC family too, because everybody there, everybody helps each other out, which is great. And even though I'm like the dance dad around with the dance moms,
That's okay.
it's all good. I'll just bring my work with me. It's
That's
hilarious.
right.
But all of them, everybody is there's like a sisterhood, brotherhood, familyhood that
Yeah.
happens. Where somebody needs help, people show up. I remember when my wife was really sick, and then some of the dance moms got together and brought a meal or two. And you can't ask that from any other dance school, because all the other dance schools will just ask for your money.
Our
So
community is absolutely stellar. I mean, honestly, it's like, to be honest, not going so God on you, but God, like, really honestly put us all together. We are such a bond of, I've seen it more now than I ever have. I'm so grateful. I'm so blessed to have these people in my life because they are what brings out the very best in me to be able to deliver to our faculty. And I could not do this without Melissa and Daryl. I really couldn't. In our faculty and our families, it's mind blowing.
yeah, you run a tight ship too. Every time you do your recitals, it's you, the microphone, and no one else. It's like marching orders.
To me,
Exactly. I
and
love
in the
it.
front row, if you don't lower that camera, I'm coming after you. And I say that. I don't
Yeah.
listen to me. You better have theater etiquette.
Exactly.
You
I mean,
better have this Southern charm.
no, I mean, when you're dealing with 1,300 kids, you got to get it in and out, and it's
My
like
teachers
clockwork.
love this. No, I mean, when you're in the theater, you respect it so very much that people need to bring back that theater etiquette and understanding that those people on stage have given their whole life. Be like, oh, it makes me so mad. So I'm not afraid, honey. I jump off. You know me. I'm like, I jump out of there and be like, right in their face. You better listen to me, boy.
Exactly. No, it was always surprising for me when I'm going to theater now. Where like, oh, you bring your drinks, your candy, your. I'm like, when did this happen? Because at Loxa, we were thought not even to put our foot
No.
on the thing, or it's definitely different now.
And the rappers, you're like, you better
Yeah,
stop it. That's, you know what I mean? Like, no,
the
I don't like when people are late. That's the worst. When they stand up and they walk, oh, no. No.
when they open the curtain and all the light comes in, screws up the entire.
There is nothing more exciting than the orchestra starting and the curtain opening up, or at a recital when you see those people that have worked so very hard. You have to respect all that hard work. Ah, for good people, the arts are the best.
And you before all this happened, you never stopped traveling either, right? You were teaching in other states on the weekends.
Right. I work for this great company called Ellie Dance Magic for a legend. Her name is Jackie Slight. And we were on a 14-week tour and we were on week 9 when this happened. I flew to Utah or Salt Lake, landed in Salt Lake, went to Provo, went upstairs, changed my clothes, got ready to judge, came downstairs, ate lunch, and then they were like, get on a plane. I went, you mean to tell me I flew all the way to Utah, drove to Provo just to have lunch to go home?
Wow.
And the whole tour was cut.
Well, I think when everything goes back to normal, like they always say, goes back to normal.
The new normal.
The new normal. You're gonna
What
be doing a lot more work, because you'll be doing stuff online and traveling, and yeah.
you know what, whatever it is to bring light and joy into these kids' hearts, and what we were talking about a little bit earlier with Jerry is like how these kids are mentally, that's going to be my goal, honestly, for the whole rest of the year and next year, to make sure that they're mentally okay to move forward. Wow, what a time.
What a time! I mean, to get through a pandemic. I mean, we've gone through pandemics, but never this kind of a mess before.
No,
No,
it's different.
it's definitely different. But I think I've always said, come out better than you came in.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm doing so many cool. I mean, I've never been able to spend this much time with my family. I've never played so many board games in my whole life. I'm really good at Scrabble. I'm terrible at anything else. Like I just can't do it. We played Life for the first time. I can't count the money. I can't do it.
I've heard some people are taking Uno seriously now.
Oh, I'm a good dance teacher. I am not good at these games, but I love teaching.
I mean, so anything I mean, you have the platform. Anything you want to say to your RDC parents and students right now?
I mean, honestly, I would never want to be on this journey without my people next to me. I mean, it is truly amazing to see what this community can do. And I pray every day that our industry will come back stronger and better. And, I'm really proud of everybody. It's just amazing to see the parents and the cards that they write us that we have in our windows that we drive by. I drive by and I'm like, this is amazing that dance brought all of us together and that they love this so much. That I tell people all the time, the arts, it's cheaper than therapy, man. Dance is like, it's like my church. When I go into that dance room and I turn that music on, that is the best feeling of my life. And I love to be able to give that to kids and to people. Like it's so beautiful. So it's amazing to create that atmosphere.
I'm glad you're there for everybody. A lot of dance school owners would just own the dance school and then just hire teachers, but you're in it.
Honey, I teach every week, baby. We're doing it.
Yeah.
I can't imagine doing that. I cannot imagine just staying. No, my passion in my life is teaching. God gave me that gift. And as I say it all the time, my number one goal until I die is to make sure that every kid gets in their car and goes, I can't wait to go back.
and they do. Just
Great.
me, I pick them up. After I pick them up, it's like, when's the next dance class? But yeah, you've definitely been a gift to the community. You've won so many awards, and I think it just represents sort of the good in all this mess. And
Right.
you're still around. You're still doing it.
It's an addiction. It really is. And all of those awards, whatever the awards, I mean, it does, no trophy amounts to the amount of love that I have for those kids. And that you will not really ever see a trophy inside of our dance studio from a competition, because the thing I care about the most are the handwritten cards and that love. That is everything to me.
That's awesome, and it's definitely not your typical dance mom philosophy. Which
They'd be out of You're not coming to my dance home like that.
yeah, no, and it builds the confidence of the kids, and I see that where, watching my daughter and then her classmates who I would see shy in the beginning of the year, and then at the end of the year they're like, look out, you know. And it's a great feeder school for Loxa, by the way.
Yes.
Several kids graduate into that. I'm glad I get the two best teachers right now. It's awesome. If I were
Jerry's
to, oh, he is. And so what we're gonna do now is we're gonna do a little pivot, right? So I'm gonna have both of you on so I can ask both of you questions. All right. So I'm gonna bring Jerry back in. Oh wait, hold on. He was in already. He unmuted himself. Wait, unmute.
Oops.
I mean, as theater people, you never know what's going to happen.
Exactly. Look at him taking over already. You should have your own show, Jerry. Let me produce it.
All right. I'm petting a cat on my lap right here in front of me. Okay.
All right. So this is the part where I ask random questions and get your input on it. Ooh. All right. It's throwing it out there. I hope I don't repeat something. But so I'm gonna go. I have to ask you this one really serious question because there might be fights about it. What's your go-to order at your favorite hometown restaurant, Jerry?
I'm not a restaurant person. I don't. Can't answer that question. I don't care about restaurants.
Oh, no famous delis in New York that you
Oh,
go to
in New York. See, I had a whole different lifestyle then. I mean, like I wouldn't eat pastrami now. I'm sort of a vegetarian now, so I guess I would have. No, I'm a pescatarian. I would have salmon, and mixed vegetables, and I'm eating healthy, and that's all I care about.
What's yours, Julie K?
It has to be chicken and rice and a Diet Coke every day.
Oh,
Well, it's
the
'cause
Diet Coke.
oh my God. And then I'll stop and then I'll go back on. I'm like, oh, I love Diet Coke. I shouldn't drink it. But I could eat chicken and rice for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Yeah, at our house, we know it's time to go to the grocery store when the Diet Coke runs out. we know where you're on.
I can quit it, but I just don't want to. Love it.
All right, Jerry, what do you wish you had known when you started out teaching? Like, what do you know now that you wish you had known before you started?
That the difficulties that I had growing up, in terms of self-esteem, in terms of financial issues, in terms of parents working 7 days a week in a mom and pop grocery store, were not to be seen as painful and something to brand me for the rest of my life, but a necessary background to open me up to seeing my students, seeing somebody who might be like me in my classroom, and being empathetic to people going through things that I went through. I think that helped elevate me as a teacher that I never would have become had I never had that difficulty.
Wow.
Wow.
Good night, folks. I'm done.
Like, do not come to me.
Well, same question, Miss Julie K. What do you know now that you wish you would have known when you started?
I feel like I have grown so much from my 30s to my 40s here that, I don't know. I feel like I didn't. I should have enjoyed the ride a little bit more. Like I should have, I'm always in the rush to the next thing, to the next thing, to the next thing. Like I'm always distracted. And so I feel that for the next part of my life that I want to enjoy the view a little bit more. You know what I mean? I think that that's probably my biggest problem is I'm always trying to help this person, this person, this person, this person. And it makes me so happy. But I just need to look at the bigger picture sometimes, and I need to slow down and really enjoy the moment that I live in. It's something that, now that I look back and I go, gosh, I was just ready for the next thing. It was just snap, 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 and, make it happen, make it happen. I'm very happy with the way I've lived my life, but I don't know. Jerry said it way better than I could have. I'll just call this trash can right here.
That's 60 years of experience from Jerry.
Oh, hello.
All right, Jerry.
Yeah.
What are you curious about right now?
I love these questions.
I'm curious as to my future as a teacher, because we had a faculty conference where one of the older teachers, not old as I am, but one of the old teachers was saying that she wasn't sure if we would be allowed back on campus next year because of our age and our susceptibility. We had a faculty meeting, the last meeting before we went on Zoom at the school, and as soon as I walked in the building, the principal saw me and told me to leave. And so I'm curious as to the whole school going to be back in school and I'll be Zooming from home, or I'll be told in a nice way to retire, or I can come back with a face mask, or my whole class will wear face masks. I don't know. I just can't imagine my life not teaching.
Wow. But I thought you were Superman, Jerry. You've outlasted all of us, even me, from teaching. I retired after 14 years. I just wanted to quit. Those kids. All right, Julie, same deal. What are you curious of?
Well, I feel like this is teaching us a lesson, right? What are we I'm curious to how we're going to react to people after this. Are we going to be more compassionate people? Are we going to love each other more? I know that after this, I think more than anything, I need to, I just need to be in the moment more. And I said that earlier. It's like, I'm curious to see how our communities are going to be stronger. And I wish that I knew what was going to happen. That's the hardest thing. Am I going to be able to be on dance convention anymore? Are we going to be able to have large rooms of dancers on convention? how many kids am I going to have in my classroom, or how many people can I have in my lobby? I was just thinking the other day that I'm going to have to go in and mark the floors 6 feet apart, because young children don't know how to not come up and love you and hug you. And it's going to be that's what I live for, the hug and the handing the flower to Miss Julie K or anything like that. So I'm curious to see how this is all going to happen when we go back. I pray to God it's going to be, we're going to come back more grateful and more loving and more compassionate. But, I don't know. I always wake up with hope.
So I guess everybody's pretty much just curious about the future,
I mean,
Oh yeah.
right?
what is it?
Before it was curious why kids were eating Tide Pods. Now it's like, can we go back to? All right. Here's a really deep one because, yeah. Well, I believe that for every success, there's a lot of failures. So, what's something that you failed at, Jerry?
Oh my God. We don't have enough time, do we?
Putting down the toilet seat is a
Flushing. It's not that I have to move that question a little to the side and change it a little bit to say that I'm not someone who succeeds right away, but I'm determined, and I failed at being a great student right away. I failed at being this. I'm just a plotter. I go forward. I look at other people who have who could do things a lot easier than I can, and I shake my head. I don't understand it, how they do that. But I'm a failure at having to learn by mistakes. That's the way I learn. I don't have a talent. I look at my students. They're children, some of them, my freshmen, and they're so talented, and they can do so many things that I'll never do. And I just have to accept that. My wife keeps telling me every time I love music. Every time there's a music on, I'm sick. You can't carry a tune. Stop singing. That's one of my biggest failures. I can't carry a tune. I don't know. That's all I have to say.
Miss Julie K.
I don't. This is hard for me because I don't really believe in the word of failure. I feel like there's been many, many lessons learned. You know what I mean? Failures. If I'm going to say something, I think the hardest thing for me as a teacher, and I'm going to go really deep. I haven't really ever talked about this, so this is really good that you're bringing me on for this. I find that as a teacher, when students and families leave, whether it's in a bad way, sometimes, or a good way, that they, maybe I should have tried harder, or was it me? You know what I mean? Like, I hate the fact that there's been like disconnects with some of my people that have left and gone on with another teacher. You know what I mean? Like, what did I do? And the fact is that I've always reached out to these families saying, what could I have done better, or tried to talk to them through it, and they don't come back around and talk to me. I think that's the disappointment of my teaching career, is that, just move on. Nothing was worth that upset or anger. You know what I mean? Like, just, I don't know. I find that that's probably the most disturbing part of my teaching career, is that people are just like, I'm mad at you and the way that you did that, so I'm never speaking to you again. And I'm like, I deserve so much better than that, because to be honest, dance teachers plant seeds. And if it wasn't for Jerry, and if it wasn't for me that planted those seeds in some of those kids, where would they actually be? And exactly. I hate not being thanked for that. And I'm not sounding ungrateful, but I feel like, they made me feel like a failure when I was the one that gave them the gift. So I'm learning. I'm not failing. I'm learning.
Exactly. That's why I wanted to ask that question, because
ooh, that's deep, because I got people that like hurt me. But you know what? That's okay. I go to bed satisfied at night, knowing that I've done the very best that I could, and that I can speak to any parent about what had happened in the past. But that's Jerry, thank God you went first year.
Hey, as much as I wanted to keep it light, there's some depth to why you guys are teachers and why you do the job that you do, and do it better every time. Because every time you feel like you failed, you always want to try to come out stronger and beat that, and that just makes you a lot better and better and better. I think one of my teachers, one of my favorite teachers, was my jazz teacher in middle school, Chris Fernandez, who said, what do you call it? She said, "Practice doesn't make perfect. You'll never be perfect." And they'll, what? Practice makes better. And for every fail that you have, is practice,
Can I just
right?
throw in a quick thank you to somebody on this topic? I was a terrible student. I was a terrible student. And in high school, my world history teacher, Ben Michelson, was the first adult who ever made me feel comfortable just not pretending to be somebody else, just who I was. He liked me. It changed my life. And it made me want to become a social studies teacher in 10th grade. And 15 years later, I'm in a homeowners meeting at a local high school in Queens. I grew up in the Bronx. And the principal greeted us all. It was Mr. Michelson. And I was so excited. I just ran out of it after he greeted everybody. He left. I ran after him to thank him. I said, "You probably won't remember me." And he didn't, which is okay. I don't remember every student, almost every student. And I thanked him for changing my life. And all he did was respect me as a person. And I never, ever had an adult, sorry, Sam, I never had an adult respect me until I was a 10th grader. And it changed my life. I try to remember that when I'm talking to my students.
That's awesome. All right, I have a few more questions.
Mm.
Ooh, some really deep ones. All right, what's a common myth about teaching, and can you debunk it, Jerry?
Yeah, I think that there's an old expression. I remember when I was younger, said, "Those who can't do teach." That now, of course, doesn't apply to Julie here, but because she does it. But I mean, like, if you really were a great writer, you'd write a novel. You wouldn't teach English. If you were really great, whatever it would be. And I think that I don't think that there's a lot of respect for teachers as intellectuals. I think they're seen as babysitters, a lot of them, or just very mediocre. And some of them, in any occupation, there could be mediocre people. But I think there are a lot of people who go into teaching, like you can hear from every time Julie speaks, with the passion that she has for what she's doing and with the goal that behind everything else is about the kids to help them. And I think that's a myth that needs to be ended about teachers. And so many people who go into teaching don't, my parents would have liked me to go into teaching because I'd have the summers off, where we work 51 weeks a year in the grocery store, me too. But no, I wanted to do it because I wanted my students to benefit like I did from Mr. Michelson, to feel respected as a human being.
Wow. Oh, I'm sorry. Julie.
Well, I mean, I think everything that Jerry said is true. It's like, I think that people are going to respect teachers way more after this whole coronavirus goes away. I mean, who knew that my husband was going to be a elementary school teacher, now a middle school teacher? You know what I mean? It's like, I think that people realize now more than ever what an influence that we are to these kids. I mean, I feel like I'm a mom to so many kids. I mean, I feel like I've helped them. I mean, I know I've helped prevent suicide. I know that I have, I mean, going really deep, like, I mean, I've helped these kids. I mean, some of these kids have told me things that they would never tell their parents. But you know what? You should be so grateful that there's somebody out there that will listen to you. I know, I mean, I had the two best parents in the world. God bless their souls in heaven. Like, they literally were the most supportive people in the world. But my dance teacher, honestly, like, I told her things. She was there for me throughout it all. Like, I mean, I owe her everything. Thank you, Miss Karen. Like, oh, but I mean, I think out of all of this, I think that, teachers should be appreciated more. I mean, Jerry, you said it better than I did.
Amen to that. I mean, that was definitely one of the things that I appreciated in. I mean, I grew up with a. I have a family of teachers. My dad was a retired physics professor and a high school math teacher. My sister's a elementary school teacher. My younger brother used to work as a teacher, but now he's an administrator for LAUSD. And for me to also be teaching and listening to the students. I think that was one of the things that we we were we were given as a responsibility.
Mhm.
There's one meeting I remember at Locks in which they said that we were the frontliners. Like we were the people, we were the first responders for any situation, and it and they were talking about mental health.
Yeah.
They weren't talking about a fire. They weren't talking about earthquakes or any other disasters. They were talking about mental health, and how to report it and all that stuff. And I think for that's I mean I have a big love and respect for teachers just because not just being in that position, but I mean without teachers, I wouldn't learn anything. I was a bad student, mind you. I
Ew,
was
I don't
I
even know
was
how to
awful.
graduate high school.
Same here. Same here. It's like literally just that much. But I still go back to my teachers from high school and from middle school and even elementary school, and I have to thank them for keeping me out of trouble. From keeping me out of gangs and keeping my head straight, even though I wasn't that great as a student. And for me to end up as a teacher after being a bad student and seeing my kids find that in their teachers,
Right.
it's a totally it's overwhelming sometimes, but it's totally worth it. I did have to quit, but because I had to take care of my wife. That was
Of course.
literally the reason. And I would, and I think Lux is asking me back, so maybe I'll see you on campus soon. I'll tell
Great.
you what happens after this summer. All right, let's do a couple more questions, and then we can close it off because we've been talking for a while, and I love talking to y'all. And like I said, we need to do lunch, both of you, again.
And
All
plus,
right.
I've got Billy and Phineas coming on. I got to watch them.
Oh, and can I get Billy and Phineas one day?
I know.
I gotta get their mama first.
Maggie,
Let me talk to their mama. Maggie, please.
we need you, girl.
We need you. And I'll talk about next week's episode and why I need her. Definitely. All right. So, last but not least, well, I'll ask one more question. What advice would you give to somebody wanting to teach?
Mhm.
Jerry.
Well, one of the things I would say is I've told this to my students before. There's an old expression: do you want to be right, or do you want to get what you want? And I use that in the context of I've been teaching for 60 years. I've had many principals, many assistant principals, some colleagues that I haven't really been thrilled with. And I could, stand up and tell them why and be right. I may not be in the school anymore, but I could be right. But I keep my eye on the prize, and the prize is my students. And so I learn to accommodate to people around me when necessary. Of course, there may be times when you must stand up for something character-wise, something very moral issue or whatever. But you can yes people, but you don't necessarily agree with that. And keep your eye on the prize and walk towards your goal and do what you need to step by step to get to that goal. And understand why you're here and what your goal is about and what your potential contribution can be.
Mhm.
That's my advice.
Love that. Jerry, we might be spirit animals.
No, we're just very lucky, and we know it, and that's so important. You know what? I think one of the things that we are that's really important is we're grateful. We're grateful while we're doing it. That's such a powerful thing. You benefit so much, and you can look back on something and be grateful. But when it's happening right now in front of us, and we're there, and we're grateful, that's a blessing.
It is.
Julie, what kind of advice would you give?
Well, number one, I mean, I think the one thing, okay, so I'll make it fast. When my dad died, I remember him laying there, and of course, nothing, I mean, he had passed away. And I said, Dad, if you had any special gifts, please give them to me, And then years later, I realized that it was his drive and determination that he gave to me. And then when my mom died, I was in there by myself, and I said, Mom, if you had any magical powers, what could please give it to me. And she gave me her heart. And so the advice that I would give um, a young teacher is that if you have drive and determination and a heart, you're going to be a really good teacher. and that you should, and my parents taught me this, and this was why I'm so passionate about my family, is that my dad and my mother have said, whatever your dream will be, obviously it's going to be dancing. Do not let anyone derail you from that. Don't let anyone tell you you're not amazing or that you can't do it. And I have never doubted my strength in dance and teaching. I people have broken me down and made me feel like I wasn't great. And you know what? I went to bed going, okay, tomorrow I am going to wake up better. And every day that my feet hit that ground, I thank God for another day, that every time I get to go open up that studio door. And my favorite thing about this studio is the click of the door, because it's an opening to an opportunity that I could put in a child, that they could grow from this beautiful thing called dance. And the other thing that I love is the click of the door when I'm done, because I knew that I gave my very, very best. So to any teacher out there that's wanting to become a dance teacher, if you've got drive, determination, a good heart, you're going to be good. Don't let anybody take you away from that. No one.
I just want to add one thing, one brief thing. There's an old expression. This is for students and for people who want to become teachers or whatever. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with the first step, and that means you do your homework tonight. You eat well. That's good for your health. Whatever. You make sure you're on time for class. In other words, none of these things look so powerful, but when you get there, it's all because of all the things, the little steps you take along the way. That none of them look like they're gonna, music is gonna come up, the sun's gonna shine. No, but every step, you don't go from here to the goal. Every step along the way has to be done, and you have to do it. Be responsible for it.
Yep. Mama said, don't walk around the mountain, climb it, and see what's at the top. You'll see how much harder you had to work, but you'll appreciate it more when you get up to the top.
Wow.
I'm in love with Jerry. Carol, I'm leaving you. Oh my God, I'm in love with you.
Oh wow. Well, we're pretty much. I learned a lot, and I hope that our listeners and our viewers learned a lot as well too. Not just about Jerry and not about Julie Kay, but about teaching, and that's why we're celebrating teachers, and we just want to say thank you so much for coming down or logging on and being able to talk to us. I mean, talk to me, but talk to us about who you guys are as teachers. And like I said, you are part of my family. In general, whether it's the Loxa family or the RDC fam, and I totally appreciate everything that you guys are doing and have done for all of us.
Thank you for thinking of us in that way. We're thinking of teaching in that way and giving us the opportunity to reach out to the people who are watching this. It's all because of you. Thank you.
Jerry, I admire you so much. Thank you for coming into my life today.
Julie, you're a great partner. I look forward to some other. Need a dance? Maybe you can teach me to dance now.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh, you should see those West Side Story videos then. well, in any case, thank you all so much for watching, for listening. This will be on Spotify. This will be on Facebook as soon as I can land that Facebook page, and on YouTube when I land that YouTube page. Definitely on Facebook Live right now. As soon as this is done, you can go ahead and rewind and watch from beginning and get all the little tidbits of information that's good for you and good for your heart, good for your soul. Please take care of each other. Please love each other. Please hug the person next to you, because it'll be a while before you can hug somebody else. Stay home. Stay safe. Be kind. Next week, we are going to talk about local heroes. This one guy that lives nearby in La Crescenta created a Facebook group called Cañada Crescenta Cares or Crescenta Cañada Cares. I don't know which one it is, but it was all about helping out people, especially during this emergency, during this crisis right now, where people are offering rides to the store or offering their oranges that they've grown in their backyard for anybody that needs the extra vitamin C and immuno boost. And it's just been very helpful for everybody. He's been featured on the LA Times. He's been talked about everywhere. His name is his name is Todd Franklin, and he's also an ER nurse, burn unit nurse. So which is also one of those next level things. And when I was talking to him, also found out he was a Loxa parent. So it went all full circle. What do you know? So please follow the Facebook page, like, share, repeat. If you like Julie K, go to check out revolutiondancecenter.com. If your kids want something to do this summer, if they open up for dance classes or even online, please do. Now, I think the program's all different now. Los Angeles County High School for Arts been around for 35 years. I was glad to celebrate it. And Mr. Vanguard Award winner Jerry Freedman is still there. They haven't gotten rid of him as many times as they tried. No. And you're turning 80 this year, so an early happy birthday.
My Loxa students in New York want me to come in for an 80th birthday party in New York. I might do that.
And then we'll Zoom it live. We'll Zoom. Oh no, you know we're gonna have an LA party as well too. It's gonna happen. July, kids, start planning. I don't want to do it by myself. It always ends up me doing it by myself, anyways. But thank you all so much for watching. Please tune in. Find me on Spotify at The Mundeezy. Follow me on Instagram at The Mundeezy. No, it's just Mundeezy. Twitter, Mundeezy. And Facebook, The Mundeezy. And thank you all so much for watching. Thank you, Julie K. Thank you, Jerry.
Love y'all.
All
right. And I gotta hit the ending so we can log out. Peace out, people. Yeah.